Welcome to the Pennsylvania Game Commission's Howard Nursery. My name is Brian Stone. I'm a Forest Nursery Manager. I manage the nursery for the Game Commission. We raise all the seedlings for the Game Commission, and we also put together all the wood products for the entire agency. Let's take a tour of the facility and walk around and see what we do. So when you pull into the nursery, one of the first things you'll notice is our buildings. They're all very similar to each other because they're barracks. Men once lived in these buildings when it was a civilian conservation corps facility. The nursery started out under the authority of the Department of Agriculture and the federal government, producing seedlings and shrubs to protect soil from eroding during the Dust Bowl era. The Game Commission then took over the facility and has remained in control of the facility ever since. The first building is used for storage of tools and equipment. The second building is our office. That's the building that you'll want to come up to if you're buying seedlings or Bluebird boxes and you need to talk to one of our staff. The third building is also storage for wood products that we complete. And the final barracks building is used for construction of those wood products. Geographically, the nursery is placed almost in an optimal place. We're in southern Center County, which is the geographic center of Pennsylvania. So we're able to serve the Game Commission very effectively from this location as far as transportation of goods, of seedlings, and of wood products, and to the public, that the public can come here to buy those same things and make it easier to get here than other locations across the state. There's another interesting part about our geography here at the nursery as well. We're against the last mountain in the Ridge and Valley province of Pennsylvania. Bald Eagle Mountain is the last mountain of the Ridge and Valleys. And then to our north is the Appalachian Plateau. The plateau for the rest of the state begins here. So we're nestled in a tight little valley of Bald Eagle, and we have a great water source here from the Bald Eagle. We're always with water to be able to irrigate our seedlings. And we have very flat ground here as well and good soils. So let's see what we do here. We'll start off with the wood products. This is the Bluebird Shop. Let's see what it looks like on the inside where we build our Bluebird boxes. There's 200 Bluebird boxes on here ready to go into a storage building. We mostly make our wood products during the winter, during the down season, when seedlings aren't doing much. It's our wood shop season. It's where all these wood products are made that we build both for the agency and for the public. Bluebird boxes, owl boxes, kestrel boxes, bat boxes, bee blocks, anything that you see for sale on our wood product sheet is built in this building. As I say, most of what we do is Bluebird boxes, so that's what we have right now. All the parts are already cut out, backs and fronts, tops and sides, ready to be constructed. We bring the wood through these doors, and when we build 3,000 at a time. So the wood that's on the floor will be cut into sides or tops, 3,000 in number. If it's sides, there has to be 6,000 because you need a left side and a right side. Once we get all the parts cut, we start building. The Howard Nursery has 2 wood shops. The wood shop we were in earlier is almost exclusively for Bluebird boxes and bee blocks. This second wood shop is where we build everything else, including all of our signs. All the brown and white signs that you see on game lands are made in this one building. Let's take a look in here and see what we're doing. I said earlier that one of the most interesting things that we do in this wood shop is make signs. Everyone's seen this sign. When you're entering and exiting a game land, we call this a welcome sign. We make about 60 of these every year to be replaced on game lands as they start to fall apart or need to be replaced. This table is where all those signs are made. It's called a cut-a-letter. It's simply a router table with patterns. We have all the letters in different sizes that go onto this frame, and it's a simple router that traces the pattern and cuts the sign. We keep all our patterns in this building, all the patterns of all the wood products we build. The first one on the wall there, it may not be recognizable because it's upside down. That's a 3 signboard. You'd see that in a parking lot on a 4x4 post with Game Commission signs on it. The second one is one of my favorite boxes, the wood duck box. I don't believe we would have wood ducks without those boxes. That artificial habitat is what saved them from extinction. The next box is a kestrel box. You can hold a larger clutch of eggs in a larger box, so we modify the design to be able to hold more eggs. The next one's a barn owl box, and then a gray squirrel. The next box is an unpainted large bat box. You can fit from 300 to 500 bats in that box. The next box is the flying squirrel box. Serves for both northern and for southern flying squirrels. After that, there's a kit. We do many of our boxes in constructed form and kit form. After that's a barred owl box. And then there's a number of other boxes, flicker box, the woodpecker box, and the winter roost. Occasionally we get requests for those. After that, that's a 2-sign board. You put 2 signs, game commission signs on there that are able to be stapled onto there and placed on a post. And then our smaller bat box, that's one of our more popular items because it's smaller, it's more easily hung. And finally, one of the most popular items that we build is the Bluebird box. So after our wood products are constructed, some of them need to be painted. The bat boxes get painted black, and all of our posts get painted brown. The signs get painted brown, and the letters get painted as well in white. They get stored in this building that you're looking at right now, the 3rd building that was once a barracks from the Civilian Conservation Corps. And the building that's behind us is the building that we do the actual painting in. Let's look at the tree seedling side of the nursery now. That is our name, right? The Howard Nursery. We grow trees from seed mostly. Much of what we grow is gathered ourselves by myself and my staff. This is an aspen tree, a quaking aspen tree. This time of year is the perfect time for gathering seed. You can see the seeds are starting to present themselves and starting to dry. We gather by hand. The crew will go out, pick these seeds, gather them into a bucket, and then process them for planting. So these are the fruiting, the flowers of the aspen, and those little black dots, those are the seeds. Let's go see how we process these seeds for planting. After we gather the seed, it needs to be cleaned. You can put some seeds directly in the ground, but most plants do better when you clean the seed coat off or take the extra material off the seed. It makes it a lot easier to plant for us as well. This is one of the machines we use to clean seed. It's called a Dibvig. It's a very simple machine. It's just a cylinder with a motor attached to it and a belt. You put the seed inside that needs to be cleaned and turn the motor on. You rinse it with water. Clean seed comes out one chute. Dirt and waste comes out the second side. Here's one stripped down over here. There's a turntable inside that machine. You set the turntable to a different height depending on the thickness, the width of the seed, and the material spins around, and you can see that gap is where the seed would fall through to be able to extract it. After the seed has gone through this machine, it's very wet. We take it next to the drying room to be dried for the next part of the process. We're back in building 3. This is the building we store wood products in, but it's also the building we dry the seed in after it's been processed with that wet process. Let's see what it looks like. There are racks in here with pulp. This is pulp from apple. We processed apple, we grind the apple, and then after the apple is wet, it's placed on these screens. The screens go into the box. It's closed airtight. Then we turn a fan on. The fan draws air through the box, pushes it out the top. All the racks are dried evenly within. We have 2 of these. It dries seed very quickly. If we're not in such a hurry, we have these drying racks. Seed is spread on the racks and dried in the air. There's a dehumidifier in here that keeps the air dry. Looks like we do have some seed in here that's in mid-process. This is pitch pine seed. These are pine cones that we gathered ourselves. I'd said earlier that we process much of our own seed. Conifers is one species that we buy mostly the seed because it is difficult to process this type of seed. Pitch pine seed's hard to obtain though. I've not been able to purchase any pitch pine seed, so we need to rely upon our own sources and gather. We have a small orchard here on property at the nursery that we pick the pine cones. They start out very tight the first year we gather them, and as we dry the seed, they start to fall apart, and you can see that the seeds fall out when you knock them. Those are all pine seeds coming out of there. The seeds are winged, like a maple seed. They have a wing on them. They still need to be de-winged before they're planted with our planting machine. We run it through a machine that takes the wings off, and all that remains are the black little seeds. which we plant. That's how we get pitch pine. After we clean the seeds, they need to be stored before they're planted. We don't often plant immediately after we clean our seeds. They need to go somewhere in cold storage so they're held safe for when they're ready for planting. This is the freezer that we use for that storage. We keep all the conifers on one side along with our spring planting, and then species that are going to wait until the next year are kept on the other side. This is the device that we use to plant the seeds. It's a Gandy drop seeder. Probably very similar to the drop seeders you use to plant fertilizer or grass seed in your own lawn at home. This is another seed planting device we use. You can see this one actually is meant to hook up to a tractor on a 3-point hitch system. It's called a Brilliant Cultipacker. We used to use this just to pack the seeds down after they were planted. Big seeds like walnuts and acorns need to be pushed down into the soil. It's got the heavy wheels on it to be able to do that. The first stages of planting of seed are the gathering of seed and the preparation of tree seedling beds. Earlier we were seeing how we gather seed and how it's cleaned. The beds are prepared through a 3-step process. First, they're disked, then they're rototilled, and then beds are formed with a bed forming machine or bed lifter. After beds are formed, they're cultipacked to be firmed, and then we use the Gandy, the drop seeder device, or the cultipacker, or in the case of larger seeds like walnuts and acorns, they're spread by hand. We make up 25-pound bags of each of those seeds, spread them evenly throughout the tree beds, and then afterwards we come back through with a manure spreader and we cover the seeds with a mix of sand and sawdust and good fertile soil. And then the final part of that step is to cover it again with a cultipacker to push those seeds down into place. And then the bed is ready. The seeds are in place where they need to be for the fall, and then they overwinter. And then spring comes and the seeds start to grow. Spring is when we harvest, and conditions really have to be just about perfect for us to be able to harvest as well as we can. The tree beds should be dry and not muddy. It's very rough on the equipment when things are wet, and the people that harvest the seedlings. When conditions are right and the ground is thawed out, we take our machinery into the field, the bed lifter, and we start to extract the seedlings from the soil. It's got a shaker bar on it. It goes underneath the ground, lifts the seedlings up, and the shaker bar takes the mud and dirt off the roots of the seedlings. They land on the ground and they're picked up and gathered and placed into crates and boxes. A wagon comes through and picks up the crates and boxes and takes it back to our loading dock. At the loading dock station, the trees are rinsed. The remaining mud is rinsed off and the roots are wetted. And from that moment on, they remain wet so the tree can stay alive. They then go into a cooler where we have misting fans that add more water to the trees. When the time comes and they're ready to be counted, they're moved from the cooler into the counting room where the counting belt is. Trees are counted in numbers of 25s. All of our bundles of trees and seedlings come in multiples of 25. After the trees are counted, they're wrapped with a tag. They go to the end of the assembly line, and then they're wrapped with a string to be held together tightly. The trees then drop down into a chute where they're counted, and then racked and stored in another cooler and re-wetted. When it comes time to assemble orders, individual bundles of trees are gathered, placed in boxes, re-wetted, with gel added to them to ensure that they will be kept moist for shipment, packaged, and then sent through the mail to you. Well, now maybe you have a better idea of what we do here at the Game Commission's Howard Nursery, making wooden structures for wildlife and growing seedlings for wildlife habitat as well. Thank you for coming on the tour of the nursery with me. Hope to see you here someday soon.